this is your sort of second home here. Are you honorary golf captain at Mottram?
Yes,
And
I've only played twice since I became captain, but I'm just down the road.
So has your golf handicap improved or not?
No. I got the hip operation about a year and a bit ago, and I've only played about 4 times. Played here a couple of times with Bobby Charlton, but that's it.
And is retirement what you thought it would be? I mean, I know you're still very busy, but were there things you were looking forward to that you just thought, well, I'll do that in retirement?
Definitely. Everyone's got bucket lists, of course, but I look forward to it, and also I made sure I was going to be active. And, you know, difference being was I maybe waking up during the night and I put the television on. Difference what I used to do up at 6 o'clock into training ground. Now I do that, maybe go up at 8, have my breakfast with Kathy. It's the first time she's ever had breakfast with me. So that's a big change. But I set out to be active all the time. The first thing we did, a cruise up to the Scottish Islands with my family and my mates, just all men. And we started off at Open, and it was the day Andrew Murray won the Open. So we had the champagne already.
Wimbledon, yeah.
We went set sail till he won that. As we set out, and all the people on the quay were all waving to us, and with the champagne out, well done, Andy. And we had a great time. It's fantastic.
And was that something that you thought you could have gone anywhere in the world? And actually, it was a lovely summer that summer, wasn't it?
Lucky.
So you were really lucky.
Dead lucky, yeah.
But was that something you'd set yourself? I want to do the Highlands. I want to do the islands.
Absolutely.
I want to go home, really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as a Scotsman, I'd never been to places I'd gone to, you know, in that cruise. I'd never been to Oban in my life. It's amazing. It's not even far from Glasgow. And
you've mentioned Kathy already, hugely important to your success, I would think.
Absolutely.
What is it that she's brought in a marriage that's nearly 50 years? I mean, it's 48 years, I think you've been married now.
48, yeah.
Yeah. How does she understand you, and how much respect do you have for her in terms of listening to her, she says?
She's a great judge, a great judge of people in particular. She's never been a football wife who goes to games. She's never done that. She'd go to the cup finals, and Kerry used to say, a waste of a ticket, because she'd sit, her and her sister, talking, or in the tea room, how we watched the game. But it was because it's cup final, she'd always go. And she's really basically a good mother, a good wife, and a great grandmother. Fantastic grandmother.
Well, I should think you're a pretty good grandfather, aren't you? Because you've got
time. I love that
now.
now, yeah. I've always loved that. Every week we'll get some of them there, you know. I've got 11 grandchildren now. One's 20, Jake, and the youngest I've got 2 at 5. So they're great.
And is it true that Kathy won't let you have any football memorabilia in the house?
No, none. None at all.
And what would happen if you came back with a book or something, a football book?
Well, we've got a library of football books, don't get me wrong, but I've no anything to display my career. It's all in United Museum. Everything's in there. And I think that's the best place for it, really, to be honest with you, because that can be shared with every fan that goes into the museum. It's a fantastic museum. And it's not a matter of me saying, oh, I miss it or anything like that. I don't even think about it. I think it's in the right place.
But the most crucial influence she had, and it didn't come out till a few years afterwards, but she's the one that talked you out of the first time you were going to retire.
Yeah.
And was that because she didn't want you around the house, or she thought you weren't ready yet?
She could sense I'd made a mistake. She knew I'd made a mistake. And I knew myself, you know, the silly thing was impulse. It was in the sort of in the heat of a moment, I just decided. And I made it at the beginning of the season, which was even worse. And I knew after a few weeks, I said, well, why did I do that, you know? But then sometimes when you've got a stubbornness about you, you say, well, I've done it, and then you carry it through. And then around about Christmas Day or New Year's Day, I think it was New Year's Day actually, I was swimming on the couch after dinner with the boys and the families. And she came through and she kicked me, she waked me up, and they 3 were standing behind her. You know, she said, you're not retiring, you're too young to retire. And the boy says, you're off your head to retire.
He certainly did it his way. His unmistakable gait and stride, his understated smile, his wave, simply the last step of his journey into work. Taken by Van Persie, in goes Vidic, Ferdinand! the cherry on the icing on the top of the cake. Your day, Sir Alex.
With you as a child, who were the influences on your personality?
My parents were, without doubt, created the foundation for me in terms of, they kept saying, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, you know, all these little things. Don't be late. That's my father. Oh, honestly, if you ever late, you know, he was agony that way. But then you get to primary school, and I had a fantastic teacher. She was unbelievable, Elizabeth Thompson.
Mrs. Thompson.
She was a star.
But she was very strict. I mean, there was a certain amount of corporal punishment, wasn't there?
Ah, but everyone get that. Even these days, if you were best behaved, you get 6 to the belt. That was a favourite. But enthusiasm and determination. I remember we played this game of rounders. You used to get a game of rounders on Friday afternoon, maybe from 3 to 4. That was just sort of a sweetie. And it was my turn to bat. And there's the first base there. And I get looking at first base. I get to that first base. And I knocked the ball at the side. She went absolutely lunatic. She, you Ferguson, you ever do that again, I will kill you. And next time I was swinging at it as if it was the most important thing in the world. But she was fantastic. And then when she died, a few months later, a package came into my house, and it was from my nephew, and it was a belt.
The belt that she'd hit you with?
Yeah, everyone got that. You know, it's fantastic. And I've still got it in the house. It's fantastic.
Despite the fact we've been talking about your retirement, you have gone off on a completely different tangent, and you've got this role at Harvard University, Fellow to the Executive Education Programme. Now, what does that involve, and how do you prepare for it? Because it's very, you know, that sort of performance in front of a bunch of very, very bright students, that is quite nerve-wracking, I should think.
The Professor Anita Aylesbury, she's Dutch, very clever woman, great leader of her classroom, tremendous. Came across, did it with another young chap with her, and did a case study, watching the training, United, spoke to a few people at United, and then they did interviews with me, and then she did the case study for all the students, and I'm sitting in the classroom, and all these young, bright people, and in the classroom was 2 classrooms that say 65 each, and one of the classrooms was 45 nationalities from all over the world, and that was, to me, the most amazing thing. That tells you about Harvard. It's such a brand of intelligence for people getting there, and how they progress. Bill Gates is there, and Mark Zuckerberg, and there's John F. Kennedy. I mean, if you look at John F. Kennedy's staff, all his staff were former Harvard students, all of them. And that's what they called the best and the brightest.
Do they understand your accent?
I don't know. But I have to say this. Anita says, speak slowly, which I'm doing with you.
I'm very grateful. And you have a board up, and you've got certain key words. What do they find most interesting? What do they quiz you on?
They roll down boards, and they keep putting up bullet points and all the rest of it. Part of it was a circle of what is important. The manager, CEO, owner, players, staff, then agents, supporters, press, all these things. And I've not scored it, all of them, apart from CEO, owner, players, staff, and myself. Those are essentials to do that job properly. All the rest is always peripheral. The only way you can satisfy fans is by making them happy, winning a Saturday. That's your job. The media, you can never satisfy the media, but you have to do it. And agents, the only time you hear from them is when they want money, when a new contract, or they want the player to move. As we well know, that's their job. So they're all peripheral to me in the job, really.
You've always been very curious, which is a great quality to have in terms of learning from other sports. So I remember years and years ago we were at a yard in Lambourne, and you were looking at the veterinary stuff, and do you remember they were scoping that horse, and you looked at and you're trying to learn from what they were doing with racehorses. Golf you've also always loved, and obviously you went up to the Ryder Cup at Clare Eagles. How impressed are you with the way Paul McGinley prepared that European side, and the work he put into making sure pairings worked, that they brought out the best in each other?
Well, that's what attracted me to it. When Paul came to see me over a year ago, his detail and the plan he'd mapped out was fantastic. It was brilliant. And I was delighted and honoured they asked me to participate in it. And we kept it quiet. We really did until maybe a few days before. But this had been going on for a year. And we made sure it was going to be right. It was going to be good.
And I know how much you admire Andy Murray. I would think Rory McIlroy is quite high up your list as well.
Oh, yeah. You see, there are geniuses in life. And Rory produces shots that he shouldn't try. He's got the ability to do it. And sometimes it doesn't come off, but his imagination is such they can do these shots. And when they come off, you say to yourself, how did he do that? You know, and he's got that in his locker. He's an exceptional player. He's, without doubt, I think, the most gifted golfer I've seen. And he's got the personality too, you know. And he's a United fan, so it helps.
He's the all-round package.
He's got the all-round package, yeah. Correct.
During his 26 years at Old Trafford, Sir Alex Ferguson took charge of some of the greatest footballers the game has ever seen. But unlike other elite clubs, he didn't rely on an unlimited transfer budget to turn his squad into world beaters. Guaranteeing the sustainability of the club by making its academy the best in Europe was his priority. He nurtured homegrown talent, he developed them mentally and physically, and he turned them into sporting icons. He also trusted his instincts and gut feeling when taking a chance on unproven and untested players. Under Sir Alex, United were formidable on the counter-attack, pushing their opponents to the very limit.
Rooney. First he sets off, and Rooney finds him. Oh, brilliant! That is sensational!
With him at the helm, they've won an unprecedented 61 Premier League games with a goal scored in the 80th minute or later. And when the cries of attack, attack echoed around Old Trafford, opponents were filled with dread, fear, and the horrible realisation of the inevitable. And it strikes me that with all of your success, 13 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups, 2 Champions Leagues, 38 trophies in total, is it the development of the players as individuals that gives you more satisfaction than even that vast array of trophies?
Oh, definitely, without question. I know there's many ways. Many people have different interpretations of what have made Manchester United over the last 26 years with great players. Rooney, Ronaldo, Cantona, Keane, you know, Robson and Schmeichel, and there's too many to talk about. But honestly, I think the spirit of Manchester United has come from the 92 team. I think that gave everyone in the club, not just the supporters, but myself, my staff, the directors, Bobby Charlton, who was brought up in the Matt Busby era, brought back the history of Manchester United, no question.
And it's fascinating that you were always prepared to take a risk. So take someone like Cantona, who, that wasn't an obvious signing, and there would have been a bit of warning that might have come with it. And obviously he got into trouble then fairly early on. How do you turn someone like that round into becoming an iconic player?
Well, my attitude to Eric Cantona was this. But I made my mind up that all the package, all the baggage it was supposed to be with him, I was going to dismiss it and treat him as a new young boy coming to my club. And spoke to him every day. He loved that. All he wanted was attention, Eric. You know, he wanted attention. He loved to talk about football. At the time when he says he wouldn't come back to play when he'd been in that 8-month suspension, and I went over to Paris. You know something? We went to this restaurant. The restaurant owner closed it. There was just Eric, his lawyer secretary, and his agent were in that restaurant. Closed the restaurant in the middle of Paris. And all we wanted to do was talk about the great players in the game, about the Pelés, the Cruyffs, the Maradonas, World Cup finals, European finals. And he was a real football man, you know, underrated, underestimated person. And that's what I carried out the whole time he was with me.
I loved him because I was only youngish then, and he used to play with his collar up, and obviously that would do it for me. But he had an incredible presence. Yeah. And I think it's interesting when you sometimes see Boris Becker's got it, Roger Federer's got it, some of the great boxers have got it. Yeah. It's like they've got this glow around them that makes them even bigger than they are.
I totally agree with you. And it was different. It was different. I remember we went to the civic reception, and Kante came walking in with this Indian jacket on. Every head in the room turned to me, and I sort of turned my head away as if I hadn't seen him. And I'm saying, Jesus, God. It just, you know,
what, like a Nehru collar jacket?
You know, the frills around the side and the big Indian...
Like an American Indian jacket?
Yeah, absolutely.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, American Indian, sorry. And then the players are going, all focusing on me. And they're all saying, I wonder who's going to say now, you know. So the next morning I says to Merrick, I didn't know. I thought it was casual. And I said, well, some casual gear that. God.
What did you say to the players on the team coach after you won the 2008 Champions League final? Can you remember what you said to the players on the coach right afterwards? So everybody's, you know, in high spirits. You've beaten Chelsea in the final. It's all fabulous.
I can't remember. I don't know.
You said, I think you said, if anyone doesn't want to win the Champions League again next year, I'll rip up his contract.
No, it's true. I say many things. quite really should forget, you know.
But does it tend to be your reaction even to the greatest success of all? Yeah. Right, reboot.
It doesn't matter. You have to. Tomorrow's another day. That's the best way to approach it. If you get carried away with your successes, then I think your complacency comes into it. Complacency is a disease, absolutely. I'm telling you, you've just got to be aware of it.
And your United teams had this incredible knack of winning in the last, well, particularly the last 5 to 10 minutes of a match. That's part fitness, I imagine, but there's an incredible mental strength in that as well. So what were you doing to instill that belief? Because other teams started to be frightened of it as well.
Definitely. That's why I used to go with my watch. I never looked at my watch. Honestly, I didn't know how many minutes, but it gets across to the opponents and the referee. It's just a little trick. But you know, the thing about the last 10, 15 minutes of a game, particularly at Old Trafford, and more in particular Old Trafford, we have 65,000 people there, right? At half-time, we always stress, don't panic, be patient, wait. And in the last 15 minutes, you can do what you like. I'm a gambler. Shove bodies up front. Take the gamble. And it didn't always work, but a lot of times it did. And the value, when it does work, is enormous. One, if you're in that dressing room after the game and we're scored in the last minute, the electricity is unbelievable. They're jumping top each other and the hand clap and the staff are going round. It's a fantastic place to be. The most important thing is those fans are walking out that stadium, desperate to get back down to the pub to talk about it, desperate to go home to tell their wife and their kids what happened at Old Trafford in the last minute of that game. And that's my job, to get them home happy. And it's the greatest moment, honestly, scoring in the last minute. It's probably, you can encapsulate my history at United about last-minute goals. I love them. I could talk about them all the time.
And there's no point, any of us, doing any of this in the wonderful world of sport unless we enjoy it. And after a game, were you capable with an opposing manager of just being normal people? And what was your technique for just enjoying it afterwards?
Mine was to invite the managers and the staff into the office at Old Trafford, and if it was away from home, we'd go in, all my staff again, because we always think that it's our dignity as Manchester United. Don't forget that. And we never talk about football. Never talk about the game, sorry. We may talk about who you got next week and what happened last week, or you know, all these kind of things. We talk about a lot of things, but it's always in a good atmosphere, you know, and that's really important.
And over a nice bottle of wine?
Always a nice bottle of wine. I made sure.
Always?
Well, not always. Some. Oh, it's Chelsea. I had to speak to Abramovich. I told him, it's paint stripper you're giving me here.
But what did you do to Sam Allardyce?
Oh, big Sam, yeah, it was my birthday, and and he bought me this nice bottle of hot Brion. I think it was a really nice bottle, and it was wrapped up in Christmas paper, you know. The kit manager brought him on and says, the gaffer brought that for you for your birthday. I said, oh, lovely, put it up there. So I took it out and I put a bottle of Ribena in it, wrapped up again. A big Sam came to the office after the game, and I said, thanks very much for the wine. I'm going to open it. He said, no, you take it home, it's for you. I said, no, I want to share it with you, Sam. So I take it and I said, what is this? And I'm looking, he got off that seat and he sprinted through out that door to the dressing room, screaming for the kit manager. So by the time he come back, I had it opened up, poured a couple of glass. Oh, it was hilarious. It was brilliant.
And he's a good mate of yours, isn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, and that's the. We talked briefly before the interview started about Jose Mourinho. Is Jose Mourinho somebody who in the modern world of football is the kind of guy who's always going to be successful? He's got a bit of the. He seems to have a bit of star quality.
It's unfair, really, because he's good looking. He's got that sort of a George Clooney white bits in his hair now. But I think he's a great example. He can speak 5 languages, whatever he can, whatever he does. Goes and is an interpreter for Bobby Robson. Follows him to Barcelona. Works under Louis van Gaal. He's learning all the time. He's got a determination. He wants to be a coach. He never played the game, by the way. Now, you tell me how many presidents would have given a manager a job and never played? None. But he's done it. Then goes and manages a small team in Portugal. Then goes to Porto, wins the league, wins the UEFA Cup, wins the European Cup. Goes to Chelsea, wins the league twice in a row. Goes to Inter Milan. But that's an example to anyone who wants to do well. You shouldn't let the barriers be in your way if you want to get there.
In everything you say and the way that you say it, you're a fan. At heart, you're a fan. And you are now a full-time fan of Manchester United. So as a fan, what's your take on where the club is now?
Well, first of all, Louis van Gaal. I don't know how you can expect to get the best results with the injuries he's had. And when he gets the best players back, you watch United, because he's a great coach. He'll do well. I'm not interested in what's happening with the players he's brought in, because they're going to need time. When I took Patrice Evra and Nemanja Vidic in the January of the same year, they were all over the place. It took 5 months to get used to playing for Manchester United, the culture, the history of the club. And these new players will be exactly the same. They've still got great players. I think Michael Carrick is the best centre midfield player in English football. I really do. I think he's the best English player in the game. I think Robin van Persie is the World Cup maybe taking a little bit on, but you watch him in the second half, he'll be fine. Rooney is back flying, you know. And Rooney will always get you a goal. And that's always an advantage with a team that's got a goal scorer in their team. And the one that's most pleasing to me of the present lot is David De Gea. When we bought him as a kid, yeah, he was frail, skinny, but he had ability. He's got special talents, and it's showing that now, and I'm really pleased for that kid. You know, I really am. But once they get the players back, we'll be fine. Make no mistake about it.
Take the prize for next year's title.
Yeah.
So finally, I hear there are rumours of a screenplay being written about your life.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't heard that.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Because I want to know who's meant to play you. Who do you want to play you?
Well, all the great ones are dead. I don't know. I know about Daniel Craig. He's a blinking Liverpool fan.
We can't have him.
Can't have him. I don't know. I wouldn't think about that.
No.
No.